Now we get into our topic of the night.
Yes.
Over the weekend, the so-called police conference, the governing party. Did that shake markets in any way? Because there's this thing when they sneeze, all of us catch is cold. So now, this haven't discuss policy na kai ba shake the market.
No, it didn't. There's a reason why it didn't shake the market. You see, the market, it's a because we're talking about people.
Yes.
People who are players, who are powerful, business people. Now, business people at the moment are very happy with the policies that ANC, because they have a stronger input in this current administration.
Okay.
So business people only worry when their interests are threatened. Now, what has been their threats all along? Actually, from 1990 coming this way, questions are transformation of the economy. They hate it. They don't like that. Because everybody wants to keep what they have. They hate anything that talks about increased taxes. They hate anything that talks about restructuring, like mining. I go about the court cases are mining, mining chambers, the court local transformation. So the policy conference did not venture, was not aggressive into those territories. They were talking about things around. So business is happy, their interests are not threatened. But I can tell you now that the Ramadan, these things are transformation. It should not be seen as being anti-business. It should be seen as pro-business. Why? Because it says Ramadan must come and play just like others were playing before. So you are increasing the business pool or pool of business people, but also increasing what? Business activity, economic activity. You're increasing employment possibilities. So unfortunately, business people must be greedy, must keep it small as it is. Again, this talks to what? The issue today.
The issue today.
Yes.
Mamedi, issue today, please hope that number of Muharake 011 4401396. Repeat it, Muhapeki 011 4401396. Kapa WhatsApp Yaruna, or can never send your message, Kapa voice note on 068 212 9281. 068 212 9281. Kimenure, Ugaru Torate, Ebang Batla, Tiba, Lise, Dikatina, the personal finance. Ribuaka basic income grant, BIG. By Chorwalo Habai, by Hutufata. Hopefully, over the years, high salary Ribuaka Senator Chelete, we had you in mind, Mohamed. Haribuaka Senator Chelete, we had you in mind. Ribuaka bread and butter issues, Haribuaka Sena Chelete. Puto Bradel Ivankita Kalaka Wena Pilikita Wena Shillyboy. Puto Kia Hurry. What is it? Do we really need it? A basic income grant. Mutimungaka Ramatamo already receiving social relief of distress in Yona 350 right now. So now vis-a-vis basic income grant, how authorities are going to navigate Yonatabaya basic income grant.
Just before the background. By the way, remember how many grants do we have? The old age grant, the child grant, child support grant, a few grants still in thing. And then lately we've got this 350 grant. COVID. Now, what does a grant mean? A grant is money that the state gives you. Now, where does it come from? Those are issues that I think, the Shillyboy will also be talking about. But ultimately, what it says is we've noticed, we recognize because the question that needs to be asked, Corona, is that the best way you deal with basic income grant, or is there a better way you deal with somebody might argue, or yes, housing about for something is better than nothing. But in the long term, is that the solution? Or even medium term, let alone the long term, is it the best solution? Can you buy a car with a basic income grant? Can you marry? Can you build a home? Can you go to school? Can you, with a grant? The answer is no. So what do you do with a grant? You consume, but what do you consume? You can't even consume enough. Out of low first of all, 350. Even if they make the grant 1,000, what do you do with 1,000? That's the first thing. The second thing is, where does government get the 1,000? Now, earlier you remember we spoke, I think we're going to a business screen. The question then becomes, you have a choice. Government has a choice. The choice is they can either say we are going to create an environment where more people should become economically active.
Yes.
Because when you're economically active, you don't need a grant. So, and the speed of our more economically active growing, more people pay tax. So when more people pay tax, it means you've got more money for other things, including maybe grant for or babal. But then that's the other thing. So you have this competing interests. I think Arlo Ikuala Gaveni would have to make a call here. What do we believe is the best approach?
Yes.
Arla grant versus other initiatives. And what are the other initiatives? It's about creator economy, transformation of the economy. Open it up. Because we know for our economy, by the way, for a very long time, only 5% of the population pays tax. And that number is reducing. Now that's not good news, because your grants come from taxes. Your whatever you give, roads, electricity, paying the police, come from taxes. We've got enough pressures on the fiscals right now. Can we sustain it further? I don't think so. But those are issues that we'll have to look at.
Shillyboy, is that the best way re ka sebedisa tax ya rona on social security, like a basic income grant? What do you think ka taba ya basic income grant?
Thank you so Ramai. As Ntate Braden mentioned, there's a lot of competing interests around this issue. And there's a school of thought who says we should not even be debating this issue. We've got a problem of poverty. That is not even debatable. Now, then I think the issue should be more centered around how do we finance and alleviate certain people out of this issue of poverty that we're faced with. It's a reality. It lives with us and it lives among our people. So I think that's a starting point. The question should be, how do we even finance this issue of poverty? Again, the issue of, there's also supporting theory from issue of basic income grant, to the sense that it actually can remove that stigma that comes with other forms of grants. If ubo inalongwana ukria grant, then you have this negative stigma around you. That's another thing that those who have a school of thoughts of supporting this basic income grant to say, if we were to consolidate all these grants, disability grants, child support grants, old age grants, and we put them under one called universal basic grant that we're talking about tonight, then that can also, from social standing point of view, it can actually alleviate these people that we want to emancipate from. Equally so, we can argue to the fact that yes, the economy needs to be open, transformation issues needs to be there, but in a short term, how do we deal with the issue of poverty? Now, Braden mentioned the issue, is it like what you're saying, is it the ideal way, more or less, should we be actually using this limited tax base? Because really, the truth of the matter is that the tax base in the country is very narrow, that we can't. The middle class is overtaxed. I mean, the Braden is mentioning about the percentages of people that are already being taxed. The reality is that a lot of people that we've got very few people that we're taxing. I mean, if you look at where we get our tax revenue, close to 80% of that is coming from personal income tax and VAT. So, and I mean, if you look at personal income tax, how many people actually get taxed? Very few people. It's a scary part. So there's a various way that has been proposed. As you mentioned earlier on, even Mokgatlo ANC over the weekend, they proposed the introduction of wealth tax, but then there've been counter arguments again from and which is, I think, the debate that is happening right now. I like the fact that it's no longer about centered around whether we should be introducing basic income grant. It's more about how to even finance this issue, because we all agree that a human dignity somehow needs to be reinforced, and we can't have majority of the population actually living under poverty line. It's not sustainable, whether we like it or not. So the issue now is about finding a solution across all these parties, interested parties. I mean, I liked one of business association called BUSA and BLSA. They commissioned a report where they argued to say they propose that certain taxes be increased, like VAT. I mean, the issue is now that will come and knock on the ordinary folks on issues of VAT, and do we even have political will on that? I don't see issues of VAT also being introduced around that. But we'll deliberate later on. But for me, I think it's a matter of saying, let's find consensus on, say, how do we actually finance this issue of basic income grant?
You know, the president has been addressing the nation, you know, quite a number of time about economic reforms, economic stimulus, but sadly, it seems all these proposals, they are not working, or they are taking time to work, and hence today Ribona a tax base shrinking in that way. But now, at the end of the day, the question would be, like you have just said, how sustainable is this? Mami, please stay tuned. Hopola re bua ka tsa ditšhelete. O kana wa re founela 011 440 1316 re ka mabenkeleng ka pelenyana.